Welcome along to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive. And hey, if you like what we do, make sure you subscribe to Rugby Obsession for more analysis like this. Today, we're digging into a recent Planet Rugby article. It's all about the finances over at New Zealand Rugby.
That's right. The big number everyone's talking about is this reported $19.5 million loss for 2024.
Yeah, and that figure definitely catches the eye, especially because they also announced record income at the same time. Seems a bit contradictory.
So it does on the surface. So our mission today is to try and understand that. How can you have record income but still post a loss like that?
And what does it all mean for, the future of the game in New Zealand, especially with other sports like league doing so well?
Exactly. It's a fascinating situation. That record income, $285 million. It's huge.
It really is.
But yeah, paired with that loss. So how does that happen? The article points towards expenditure impacted by foreign exchange turbulence. That's the official line.
Okay, foreign exchange turbulence. Let's unpack that a little. So basically, currency fluctuations made things more expensive for them.
That's the idea. If they've got costs in other currencies, maybe player salaries paid overseas or international broadcast deals, that kind of thing,
Right.
and the New Zealand dollar value shifts the wrong way, then suddenly your costs, when you convert them back, are higher.
Makes sense. Shows how complex running a global sport is financially, doesn't it? It's not just about ticket sales.
Definitely not. And, while that $19.5 million loss is the headline, NZR is also saying the operational side, the sort of core business of rugby, is actually getting close to breaking even.
Oh, okay. So the actual running of the games, the competitions themselves, they're almost paying for themselves.
That's what it suggests,
Well,
which, is a pretty positive sign underneath the main figure.
It is. And the NZR chair, David Kirk, he really emphasized that this is a book loss, not necessarily a cash loss.
What's the difference there, really, for people listening?
Well, a book loss can be due to accounting rules,
Yeah.
like depreciation, or, in this case, how they account for currency value changes on paper.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean $19.5 million in cash actually walked out the door.
Gotcha. So Kirk's point is the underlying financial health, the balance sheet, is still strong.
Exactly. He's pointing to that record income, saying commercial revenue is actually pretty healthy despite, a tough global market.
Yeah.
And he stresses they're still reinvesting money back into the game at all levels.
Yeah.
So trying to paint an optimistic picture.
And that perspective is important. I mean, getting record income when things are difficult internationally, that says something about the brand strength, right? The All Blacks, NZ Rugby generally.
For sure.
And the CEO, Mark Robinson, he kind of echoed that. Mentioned strong results from sponsorships, match day revenues were good,
Right.
and importantly, they've held on to their cash position and reserves.
So, okay. Lots of underlying positives mentioned. Record income, operations near break even, strong brand, cash reserves intact.
But, and here's the kicker.
There's always a but, isn't there?
Well, yeah. Mark Robinson, the CEO, also admitted that their high fixed cost structure just isn't sustainable, even with that growing income.
So even though more money is coming in the door, the basic costs of running the organization are just too high to keep up indefinitely.
That seems to be the message. It points to a potential problem down the line if things don't change. You can't just rely on revenue growing forever to cover escalating fixed costs.
It's quite candid of him to say that, though. Suggests they know it's an issue.
It does. And he said they're committed to working on a, quote, sustainable financial model. And that work is going to intensify.
Okay, so change is on the agenda. That's key.
Definitely.
And this isn't happening in a vacuum, is it? The article mentions the rise of rugby league, the Warriors doing well, up the Waz and all that.
Yeah. The sporting landscape in New Zealand is competitive. Rugby can't just assume it'll always be number one without effort. They need to compete for fans, for players, for attention.
True. But then there are more positive signs for rugby union mentioned too. Participation numbers apparently are up.
Yeah, at every level, which is great news for the grassroots.
And TV ratings for Super Rugby and the national teams are still holding strong.
Which suggests the core audience, the dedicated fans, are still very much engaged.
Right. So if you enjoy our deep dives into topics like this, remember to subscribe to Rugby Obsession to stay informed. We try to cover all these crucial developments.
Absolutely. Those engagement figures, the participation and viewership, that gives NZR a really solid base, doesn't it? Something strong to build on while they figure out the financial structure.
Okay, so let's try and sum this up for you listening. We've got this headline loss, $19.5 million, but record income too.
Yeah, with the loss blamed largely on those external things like currency movements.
And an admission that the internal cost structure, well, it needs work for the long term.
All happening while other sports are vying for attention.
So what do you make of all this? If you follow rugby in New Zealand, do these numbers, these explanations from NZR, do they ring true? Does it match what you're seeing on the ground?
We genuinely love to hear your perspective. Your insights as fans are, really valuable. It adds a whole other layer to just looking at the financial reports.
Definitely. Share your comments. Let us know your opinions.
It's certainly a complex picture, isn't it? The finances, the game's health, the competition, lots of moving parts.
It really is. So we've unpacked the main points from that Planet Rugby report on New Zealand Rugby's 2024 finances, the good, the bad, and the complicated, and their plans for a sustainable future. Thank you for listening to this Rugby Obsession Deep Dive,
We hope you found it useful.
and we look forward to you listening to our next episode. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it.